Shrink the Nation is a podcast for thoughtful, informed adults, preferably with a pour in hand. The views and opinions expressed on the show are those of the hosts and guests only, and do not reflect the views of any employers, institutions, licensing boards, government agencies, bourbon distilleries, or family members, especially our family members. They've asked us to be very clear about that. This show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Nothing said here should be taken as medical, psychiatric, legal, or professional advice. If you're in crisis, call a professional. If you're mad at something we said, we suggest journaling or emailing us with civility. We're here to challenge ideas, not diagnose strangers. We're clinicians, not your clinicians, and we have the bourbon to prove it. Let's go. All right, welcome back to Shrink the Nation. We survived Thanksgiving, barely. We are stuffed, bloated, and still retaining enough sodium to qualify for a CDC advisory. And now, with no warning, America's shoved us straight into the holiday season. Walked out of my house this morning and got assaulted by 12-foot inflatable Santas, LED reindeer, and a Target playlist that's been playing Mariah Carey like it's a national security threat. We're officially knee-deep in holiday lights, Christmas decor, and an endless supply of cheesy Netflix rom-coms where people keep falling in love inside bakeries that somehow make zero money but always have perfect lighting. If one more plot involves a big city girl returning home to save her family's maple syrup farm, might actually dissociate, Robbie. So yes, while the nation digests the turkey, drowns in tinsel, and emotionally regresses into peppermint-flavored denial, we're here to talk about what's really going on inside America's nervous system. Pour your bourbon, loosen your waistband, and prepare for the only holiday tradition that never disappoints. Talking about the country like it's our most chaotic patient.
Which it is.
Well, I'm David. Got my 20 plus in military, board certified psychiatrist. You know, today I'm revamping the Angel's Envy. Finished off in a port cask. Get that nice sweet aftertaste. It's a good one. Enjoying it.
It is a good one.
Hopefully it will help me burn off some of the memories of horrible rom-coms.
I'm really curious if blowjobs were mentioned. Was the family rule adhered to at Thanksgiving?
It was tightly adhered to. We have a mission.
Well, we took a vote. We went ahead and talked about them anyway. Had nothing to do with Monica Lewinsky, though.
Yeah. The question I come up with now is, are you talking about blowjobs if you're just saying not to talk about blowjobs? Is that really a blowjob conversation? Is it really?
It's all definitional.
Yeah, semantics. Just getting blasted with Christmas decorations before December even fully hits. But, you know, this episode will drop by the time we're fully in December, so well worth it. I spent a good amount of time on a ladder.
Lights. Yeah.
And risking my life to do so.
Yeah.
Hopefully it brings a little bit of joy to somebody.
Hope so. Clark?
I wondered many times as I was up there how many of my neighbors are thinking, God, I hope he falls and breaks his neck. And a good amount.
More than zero?
Less than 10, I hope.
Right.
We're in a secret war with our across the street neighbors.
It's a secret. They don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, somebody put something up and then the next day something is like the same thing but bigger across the street. And then it just kind of keeps going back and forth. So
yeah,
our light display will be epic eventually.
Awesome. Hey, it's Rob, also coming to you on the 4 days post Thanksgiving. I spent the day cooking everything under the sun. It was a good day, though. Today, I'm indulging in a little bit of Evan Williams. I don't know if that's called indulging.
I don't think it is.
Although the price of Evan Williams has increased. I was very irritated that a pint ran like $10 now. I swear, it used to be cheaper.
It's a 10 spot for a pint.
Well, I started to buy something a little more expensive, and then I thought, I'm going with that post-Thanksgiving, feel awful, ate too much kind of vibe.
Just keep it going.
Yeah, this one should be fun. All hopped up on tryptophan with the level of alertness associated with such. Plus a pint of Evan Williams in my belly.
Hey, if our tens of listeners would weigh in on this one, but is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Oh, absolutely. That's a binary. That's a yes, no, yes, done.
It just
moving
is.
on. Yep.
Okay, moving on. Fair enough. I mean, it happens during Christmas, but is it a Christmas movie?
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's get into our topics. We have a new war on drugs, using fear as a business model. So the ramped up war on drugs 2.0, it's pouring federal money into defense startups, maritime drones, AI surveillance, signal, and intercept tech. Stuff originally designed for overseas counterterrorism that's now being aimed at U.S. drug interdiction. Defense tech CEOs are thrilled. Civil liberty lawyers are having a stress stroke.
You know, I love how we've now labeled them narco-terrorists. Slapping that terrorist label, it is reminiscent of in marketing to males where you put in an XXX to identify, I don't know, extra testosterone I guess. And I don't know definitionally what makes a narco-terrorist versus a regular terrorist. I think it's kind of like the Supreme Court that said, I can't define pornography, but I know it when I see it. So
Except that you
this
don't know
one's-
it when you see it because it doesn't seem to be differentiated.
This one does have that sense or that feeling that it's a label we can slap onto something and then justify it sort of extrajudicially. I can't look at this one without thinking of the greater war on drugs that's been in existence for as long as I can remember. For our tens of listeners, if you want an interesting read the book Chasing the Scream, which is a fantastic assessment of the United States approach to the quote-unquote war on drugs and its effect. I'll sum it up that there are a few things that we pay more for and we lose more ground each year. So it's not a very effective war. And the fact that now all of a sudden we are transitioning it, would appear that we're transitioning it to a hot war, I think is cause for concern. It's a escalation, and it does end up making me question the validity of this action. And I am speaking as a psychiatrist and a civilian at this particular juncture.
You have to make sure that you're very clear on that.
Incredibly clear. Yes, I'm not representative of any government organization. Please listen to David's disclaimer at the very beginning. We take that very seriously. So yes, I'm not representing any government organization or branch of the military. I do question the psychology behind this focus suddenly on narco-terrorism coming out of a very specific country.
It is interesting because the tech startup world is obviously really interested in jumping on this bandwagon. As you brought up before, the war in Ukraine doesn't look anything like the war that we thought we were going to be fighting. And it looks a lot like World War I, more like trench warfare because of the drones, actually. And there's a lovely article, terrifying article about PTSD due to drone warfare recently that came out. And this topic actually is more about an article that was discussing the defense industry getting very excited about all of these tools that they had available that just could not be used in this war in Ukraine. All of a sudden, hey, we have a use for them now. And so where's the money going to go? Where's the money coming from? Billions of dollars being allocated to ICE, Customs and Border Patrol. And this is where defense contractors are really looking at making some money.
Yeah.
It's the monetization of fear that is interesting, slapping this label, narco-terrorism, onto something and then finding a use for tools that were otherwise not useful in a combat zone.
In defense of the industry that is supporting drones, I will say that the United States government is certainly ramping up. Based on what we've seen in Ukraine, we are absolutely ramping up our understanding, knowledge, utilization, the tools we have available to us for drone defense and use of drones in combat. In this case, it feels a little bit like Shark Tank. These entrepreneurs are marketing these things with the idea of making it big, and that's part of it. For me, the defense industrial complex. Part of it, though, for me is exemplified by a quote from Carl Jung.
Drink?
Yes, go ahead and drink, everybody. My psychiatry hero. Like if I could have action heroes, he would probably be my favorite. It would be a boring one, though. I don't even know if it would have a kung fu grip.
Probably not.
It may not even be opposable. All you can do is sit them in a chair and cross their legs.
He'd be a blank slate.
The only opposable joints that they have, maybe one hand to a chin.
You'd pull a string and he'd say things like, how does that make you feel?
Tell me more. Anyway, great quote from him. And for our tens of listeners, if you're ever bored, just Google, Carl Jung quotes, and you'll find a million, and you'll also find some really interesting ones. But this one strikes me as being relevant to this situation. The avoidance of inner conflict always demands an external enemy. For our tens of listeners, I can imagine you can look back through your lives and you can think of times in which something is causing you internal conflict. Something is troubling you. You've done something, someone's done something to you, whatever that's hit you at your core, and you are fearful of something inside of you. And rather than facing the thing that is inside of you, it is so much easier to look and blame. And it happens seamlessly. It's not like we're making choices. It's not like we wake up in the morning and say, today, rather than facing my demons, I'm going to blame my mother or the neighbor who I am in a secretive war with. Little do they know.
Hey,
like David.
Their Santa Claus was not as big as ours.
Who's compensating there and for what? Which brings me back to blowjobs.
Hey, he's got a large sack, okay?
Yeah.
Full of toys. Don't make it dirty. Santa Claus.
And the meme, wag the dog, is a long running one that if there's political conflict or conflict inside the nation, that one of the easiest things you can do is find an external enemy. However, at this particular juncture and in this situation, there does seem to be maybe some truth to that. The conflict inside of us, inside of the United States, and the struggles that we're having as a people with things like affordability, culture wars, where do we fit? Where are we going to fit? How do we fit with AI? Is it true that within 5 years, 99% of jobs are going to be taken by AI and anthropomorphized robots? We don't know. But if we go kick the shit out of Venezuela, we're going to forget about it for just a little bit.
Are we, though?
At the end, it's like beating up a 5-year-old child, but it may draw attention in that direction. And the airspace has now been officially shut down.
This one's difficult because there's a lot of different angles that you can look at from a lot of issues that come up with the choice of target, the way that it's being framed. There's a level of scapegoating that kind of goes into this. And it's really interesting, I think, from a psychological standpoint, sitting back and watching the internal ethical and moral dilemma that goes through somebody's head when they're trying to just sort of grasp with what they're seeing. Because you slap the word narco-terrorist onto this. It's really interesting to watch somebody grapple with whether they feel it's okay to blow up a boat that may or may not be loaded with narcotics.
Mm-hmm.
There's difficult parts of that. It's like, well, what kind of narcotics are they? Are there narcotics? It throws this kind of scapegoating perspective onto, or it allows the aggressor in the situation to shift that blame back onto the person who's saying, wait a minute, is this okay?
They're drug dealers. Kill them all.
Remember in the Philippines between 2016 2022, Duterte did declare brutal war on drugs that he framed as a moral crusade. And there were thousands of people who died extrajudicial killings. Man, we can't say that word to save our life.
We really can't. I'm not even going to try anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just going to call it ED. Everyone's going to have to know I'm not referencing the other kind of ED. This is extrajudicial.
Why would you say
killing.
ED? Extrajudicial be EJ, man.
EJ, you're right.
Yeah. Wow. Just
well,
really
so
nailing that one.
In my mind, I wanted to make that joke and I forced it.
You really forced that one.
The joke was gold.
It was. It just
logically didn't flow.
We look at what happened in the Philippines. It essentially was you drive around and the police could execute anybody that they felt was on drugs. There's no trial. There was no anything else. It was just, hey, look, you happen to be out past 3 a.m. and you're acting weird. You must be on drugs. We're going to shoot you and kill you. And that is definitely not something that I think most Americans would be cool with right now. But this is sort of that easing yourself slowly into the pool. It's too cold, so you put a toe in. It's really interesting because, like you said, raise your hand and say, hey, I'm not sure about this. Then the response is immediately, what are you defending? Drug dealers? You're defending people who are trafficking drugs? Well, not really. It's defending the laws of the United States.
I would agree entirely. It's that we have a set of laws that define us. And if you are in the military, theoretically, you are a professional warrior. You're not a killer. And the difference between a killer and a professional warrior is a professional warrior chooses their target based on criteria that is relevant to whoever they're protecting. But this does highlight the bias we have against substances. And this exists across the board, that folks who have substance use disorders in general have really significant biases that they face in the medical system. We don't look at it as an illness. It's fascinating to me. And as a guy who did substance treatment for about 5 years, the analogy that is most relevant to substance use is adult diabetes. But if you try to draw that with most people, you'll be in a fist fight. They don't like to see it that way. Substance use disorders are a mix of genetics, the social environment someone grows up in, and choice. So is adult diabetes. There is a choice to eat that cinnamon roll. There is a choice to not exercise. But there is also a social situation and a set of genetics that play into it. And frankly, the craving for a milkshake is very, very similar to the craving experienced for cocaine or heroin, with the exception of, terrible vomiting and explosive diarrhea that might come with the heroin that doesn't come with the milkshake. But for most people, we'll see how successful they are in maintaining a diet. Not very, because they cannot resist temptation, which is very human. We're designed to love fatty, sugary things. That's what kept us alive. And through most of human history, starvation was the enemy, not excess. We weren't designed to have a McDonald's on every corner. We weren't designed to have ultra processed foods. But for most people, they do draw this distinction and they'll say, well, I might be fat, but I never broke the law in order to feed what I like. But the truth be told, other than maybe buying illicit substances, it's true for substance users. There's a great misnomer that most substance users break the law. They don't. They don't steal. They don't whatever. They may destroy themselves, but they're not out committing crime. However, we are okay with destroying these boats, circling back, taking out survivors because they are quote unquote narco-terrorists, whereas we probably wouldn't be okay with that under almost any other circumstance if it wasn't related to drugs. Now, the question I would have if we told people, hey, it was weed, it was just weed. They're bringing in a ton of weed. Would that change their perspective?
It probably would. I know the solution to the problem that you're laying out here, Robbie, and I think the answer is that we need to get that motherfucking Pillsbury Doughboy right now.
We're going to take him down with extreme prejudice.
Take him out, yeah.
If anyone's got a drone on him right now, just send in the missiles.
Take him out. Go ahead and give the kill command. There's a lot that goes into this. Probably not time to hit all of it.
No.
Almost certainly sounds like we're going to be touching on this a lot over time, just drawing it to attention right now. And most specifically that there's some financial motivation to keep this going.
Yeah.
Not surprising.
There's a financial aspect to the drug war, actually, that when you look at addiction and poverty and really social despair, they are intimately connected. And it's interesting that we Americans looked at addiction, poverty, and despair and said, you know what we haven't tried? We haven't tried drones. Guess what? Someone from Silicon Valley stepped up and was like, I got you. I've got the drones for that.
Yeah. We are just a little bit closer to Minority Report. So that's exciting. What a fun world we're going to live in soon. Let's move on to the next topic. For those of you alive when this was relevant, it's relevant again.
All of our listeners were alive then. I know this.
Yeah, they definitely were.
Yeah.
Good news, everybody. There is a Rush Hour 4, the reboot that we deserve, is happening. So Paramount greenlit Rush Hour 4 because somebody with political gravity nudged execs to resurrect the franchise that was last seen when flip phones were king. Jackie Chan, he's now 70. Chris Tucker is still Chris Tucker. And Hollywood said, sure, this seems fine.
I believe I was actually at war when that movie came out.
The first one or the third one?
The third one, I'm sorry. The third
2007.
one. The third one where they went to Paris. I believe I bought it from black marketed version and watched it.
I definitely remember this being played on loop often. Actually, I think 3 of them. These got played frequently on my ship all the time. The old buddy comedy, yelling, kicking, and a villain who conveniently does not reflect us.
We've officially reached the stage of national decline where the most functional thing we can do is reboot a buddy cop franchise. That's
an old one.
Yeah.
Well, forget calling in favors to end government shutdowns, Robbie. Those are better reserved for rebooting franchises that died 18 years ago. Septuagenarian martial artists teamed up with a loudmouth stereotype. And Robbie, if you tell me that Mel Gibson and Danny Glover cameo in this thing, I might just ascend right here, buddy.
I'm going straight up.
I'm going to lose it.
I am not a historian. I have clarified that multiple times, and the Haitians taught us this many moons ago. But I'm pretty sure Rome didn't fall because of infrastructure. Rome fell because they were rebooting circuses. Here we stand, rebooting very old movies, apparently on the recommendation of politicians.
One particular politician.
Well, yeah. It's a real fan.
That one's been sitting there for 18 years just waiting to happen. Waiting for Jackie Chan to get really, really old, and Chris Tucker, and everybody else.
If Jackie Chan is truly in this one,
He is.
I think he gets his own Medicare rep. I mean, that's the least we can do. If he's going to do like bamboo falls, kicks, all the things that Jackie Chan does, he gets a Medicare rep.
No,
It's the least we can do is cover his copay.
you're talking crazy now.
It's the least we can do.
He does his own stunts. I know he's 70 years old, but he's been making
70.
movies for like 90 years, right?
Yes, I think that's the answer. You're right.
Yeah, he has been.
I like your math.
I love Jackie Chan. I really do. I'm not sure this movie. Well, no, it's not that it didn't need to be. I mean, of course, like we're in a time now where they ran out of ideas. So why not make a fourth one?
Well,
They have like 27 different Fast and Furiouses. So why the hell not?
why the hell not?
They can just CGI Jackie Chan into it. Does he even need to act for it?
Can he? I mean, I have not seen Jackie Chan in probably a decade. I thought Chris Tucker died in like 2005. I'm stunned. Has he been in anything since 2007's Reboot #3?
I don't think he's headlined anything since 2007.
Do you understand the words coming out of my mouth?
And that was like the first movie. So, yeah.
I know.
Could you quote any lines from the third one?
Oh, God, no. God, no.
I just don't know now. I'm legitimately getting scared. What the hell is going on here?
All right. You know, psychologically, I've struggled on this one because theoretically, as adults, we become uncertain about the present. It is tempting to look back into the past at a time where our life was personally simpler and then make that extrapolation that the world was simpler. And, you know, honestly, MAGA, Make America Great Again, is a great example of this, that when you think about making America great again, that implies there was a time when we were great and there was a time where we ceased to be great. If we could magically jump back to whatever time they're saying that we were great, and we talked to the adults at that point who were dealing with life, I doubt they would have said anything different than the adults that exist now. They were struggling with the same things. They were struggling with paying the bills, taking care of their kids, putting together a life, solving the problems of life, etc. But there is that temptation, and there is always this nostalgia to look backwards in time. Here's a quote. Here's another quote.
Right.
Nostalgia removes the rough edges from the good old days. Think back to your childhood, and, you know, I can do this. I can think back to my childhood, and I can say, oh, those were great times. Now, technically, they were not great times. Honestly, I was born at the closing phase of Vietnam. I went through all the chaos of the middle 70s and the late 70s when industrial jobs were diminishing. There was a gasoline availability crises. And there was the Cold War. But I can look back and say, man, it was really good. It was good. We didn't have an internet. We didn't have cell phones. It was good. We ran around, hit each other with sticks. We didn't have to be home until the streetlights were on. It was, I mean, it was awesome. We didn't have to worry. But there is that temptation. So I think there is an element here of magical thinking that looking back, if we reboot Rush Hour, maybe life can be simple again. It never was simple. It's never going to be simple. But that does strike me as an element that we want to look back at the things that we hold dear as if it could make things better now.
Yeah, spoiler, it won't.
I've got the answer.
But watching Chris Tucker scream at Jackie Chan does hit the dopamine receptors just right.
Oh, and he's like human caffeine.
He really is. I'm just not sure if you go back to the early 2000s, I guess of all the things that were happening in the early 2000s, the thing that you want to reboot is Rush Hour. Really?
American Pie.
Yeah, I mean.
There are other things.
Exactly. Yeah, Eugene Levy. He's just, I mean, he's Canadian, so I guess he's not really our national treasure, but he is a treasure.
He's a
Is he
treasure.
not? He's global. He's international.
He is.
Then they did reboot the shit out of that. They made a lot of those. I don't know. I wonder, will you watch this movie when it comes out?
You know, it's been so long since I've actually gone to a movie. In fact, I sat down last evening and I actually for once had an evening just empty. And I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to watch a movie. And after struggling to find a movie, I ended up turning on Fantastic Four, the reboot Fantastic Four.
The reboot of the reboot of the reboot?
Yeah, the most new version. I made it 10 minutes and I was like, I don't have the wherewithal to do this. So I speculate, probably just because I've been doing this. I'm of an age, but I've been doing this 20 years longer than I've been alive, just like Jackie Chan. I'm putting myself in the same category with him. I just don't have the attention span or the wherewithal or the interest. So no, I won't go. I did sit through an entire football game for the first time in ages and really enjoyed it. Ohio State kicked the shit out of Michigan. It was fantastic. But I'm a Buckeye, so
There you go. What you described though was choice overload or decision paralysis, where you just have so many options. And this happens in grocery stores. This happens anywhere where there are too many choices. You get decision fatigue. You start to get more overwhelmed. And it happens with Netflix all the time.
Man.
I'm sure everyone can probably relate to wanting to sit down and watch something and then just spending a half hour reading descriptions and then going, all right, never mind.
Like it's a blind date. Like you're really committing to something. I can remember the days when I had 3 channels or 4, and it was not that hard to find something on TV, and I'd sit and watch it. So
Netflix is just the Tinder of online streaming now. You're just like, swipe it. You're like, I'll read it, but I'm going to keep going. Just swipe. We've beaten this one to death almost as bad as Paramount has beaten it to death, but hey, they're going to reboot it. So
or
maybe
Jackie
we'll talk
Chan
about it later.
has been beaten to death by his choice in doing his own stunts. I can't believe he made it to 70, people. I just can't.
I can believe he made it to 70. I can't believe he needs the money. I can believe Chris Tucker needs the money because it's been a while.
I should have Googled Chris Tucker. I imagine with residuals and all that, he's probably doing okay.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Why is he doing this?
Attention? They're actors. What's the currency of being an actor? It's attention.
Dedicated humanitarian now.
Yeah. What kind of causes?
Spends much of his spare time traveling the world and doing charitable work to make a difference through his Chris Tucker Foundation. That's what he's doing.
What do they focus on?
Being awesome and doing charity, and making the world a better place.
People who are excessively excitable.
Still hanging out with Jackie Chan.
I'm Michael Jackson. You're Tito. I think that's the motto of our podcast from now on. I'm Michael Jackson. You're Tito. Now, the funny thing is, he said that prior to Michael Jackson and all the kind of complications that came of being Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
You're Michael Jackson. I'll be Tito.
Yeah. Exactly. All right.
Hey, it's Rob from Shrink the Nation. As my friend David so eloquently states at the beginning of the show, we are clinicians, but we're not your clinician. We love to joke around and dive into the tough topics, but there's something really important we need to say. If you're struggling with your mental health or facing substance use issues, we want you to know you're not alone. We have dedicated our professional careers to mental health, and we care deeply about it. It's okay to ask for help. Reaching out to a professional in your area could be the first step toward feeling better. Don't wait. There's support out there, and it works. Please take that first step. We want you to be well. Now let's get back to the show. Oh, and don't tell David I said he was eloquent. He'll be insufferable.
Back to a serious topic, sort of.
Oh, boy. I don't know if I have it in me.
Well, we'll try it. Weaponized justice when the DOJ becomes daddy's punishment stick. Recent investigations revealed that the DOJ attempted to pursue charges against multiple high-profile critics and former officials, including an ex-FBI director that some of you may have heard of, but judges threw the cases out. The message from the courts: retribution is not justice, and your feelings are not probable cause. Paraphrased.
I don't think that was in the final judicial finding, but
Took some creative license there.
yeah.
This one's interesting. It's not funny. I think this one will probably come up again, but a couple of cases that were brought rather hastily after a firing and then a hiring have been tossed.
After multiple people refused to bring them and were fired for it, they finally hired someone who said, yeah, I'll do it. And then, of course, they got thrown out because nothing really says stable democracy quite like prosecuting your critics. It really screams banana republic. It really screams third world country. It's distressing.
It's not a great look.
It's also textbook narcissistic injury. You look at these nations that are ruled by strongmen, you criticize the strongman, you're punished. Usually the legal system is the mechanism by which you're punished. I suppose in therapy, we'd call that maybe a treatment plan. In politics now, we call it Tuesday. So it's rough.
The psychological aspects of this message being sent, well, it's interesting. On one hand,
I think it's brutally simple. It's fear conditioning.
it is.
We are trying to scare the bejesus out of anyone who might criticize. And if you are average Joe against the government of the United States, even if you are in the right, you realize I'll need a lawyer. I'll have to go through this. I'll probably first have to go through some punishment or spend time in jail. And then maybe I'll be
Exonerated.
it'll work its way out, but I have to go through all that. It's not worth it. So it is fear conditioning.
Yeah, it is. I guess the way that looking at it, there's this back and forth, and I think it's unfair to look at it from one particular angle. I mean, on one side, I think it is being labeled as retribution more than punishment. This is, you did this to me, I'm going to do this to you. Now, there is probably some argument to be made against that assessment. The seeming facts of it aren't as cut and dry as that. Most cases won't prop a DOJ. So the rhetoric on that would be question as to its validity. But the difficult thing here, I think, is you're right. There is that fear conditioning, because even though right now you're seeing these cases being thrown out, they're being thrown out in a way that still leaves the door open for them to be brought again, because they're being thrown out on technicalities as to who brought them. And then the question is, well, if we go to the Comey case, his was brought within, I think, a few days of a statute of limitations. And the argument now is going to be, well, did securing an indictment extend the statute of limitations? And so even though these were thrown out on the technicality that the person who was put into the position to bring the cases was done so on an interim basis after another interim person was moved, and the idea being that in order to have a prosecutor in this position, or attorney general in this position, they need to be confirmed. And so there's a lot of legal things that you and I are lawyers,
Not a historian, not a lawyer.
short of maybe just drink a little too much and the Dunning-Kruger effect hitting you pretty nicely and having opinions. We have no legal training. So there's a lot of nuance to this, but yeah, it still does lay in the fear of, well, is dissent worth it? And it breeds hypervigilance.
It does, and it's a playbook for most authoritative governments. So the Soviet Union actually was very fond of weaponizing the mental health system. That's how they managed a lot of political dissidents, by having them involuntarily hospitalized. And then, it's a great shame, I guess, on the profession that we participated. Other governments will use the legal system. So they will pursue these individuals on charges of questionable validity and punish or seek retribution against folks that either have wronged them or are potential rivals. It is frightening. Now, psychologically, one could argue it is projection, that you project your shame, whatever you're doing, the wrong that you've done, onto somebody else. It just so happens to be projection that is tightly bound to a instrumental gain as well.
I think we can bring family systems theory again, a little Murray Bowen into this.
Little Murray.
More triangulation. I mean, at this point now, the judiciary is saying, no, we're not going to play this game. But that's just a piece of the judiciary. I mean, this will almost certainly go up higher, as at this point everything has. A little scary, yeah.
I have a great deal of appreciation and respect for the judiciary, but then also the fact that because of our dysfunctional family, Murray Bowen, that we have put inordinate amount of responsibility upon one of the children that is unfair, that we've parentified, we'll say, the judiciary. Now, they've always played an important role in terms of identifying or making rulings on the constitutionality of the law, but all of a sudden, they're the place that we're sending all these questions to and all this bad behavior. So Congress leans on the judiciary to solve their problems, and the executive branch is sending all these cases into the judiciary that are of questionable legality, morality, psychological patency. I don't know where to place it, but they're sending them to the judiciary for resolution. And they were never designed for that, to solve these kinds of problems. They shouldn't be facing these kinds of problems. because there should be multiple levels that are stopping it, and they're not. But it does make me appreciate the robust nature of our democracy and how it was designed, that we luckily have checks and balances in place. And right now, we might well be down to the last check and or balance,
Yeah.
but it's holding.
It's holding. There's a lot of distrust that kind of comes with situations like these. It starts to breed an architectural distrust of the entire system. Throwing back to our last episode, this all has that same feel of this is the administration's version of We Are Charlie Kirk.
Still haven't made through that song. Couldn't do it. Tried.
No, that's all right. Yeah, it's just a big middle finger to all the norms and everything else. You know, if there's anything that can be said in the positive here, it's that there is a consistency to it. It was made pretty clear that this is the path that was going to be taken, and it's playing out, I think, exactly as it was laid out. If you are in dissent, you are going to be in the proverbial crosshairs.
Mm-hmm.
So
Prepare yourself.
the other gold star, you know, I mean, consistency. That sometimes is key, right, Rob?
Yeah.
So, all right. Man, that's depressing. Let's get some prescriptions in here since we're pretty much out of.
Will to live,
Yeah.
we shall sally forth.
Prescriptions.
Yeah, so I have one. The drug war industrial complex must take a 5-minute break from fear mongering. Even drones get a smoke break, and America needs to remember what privacy might feel like. It's concerning to me, and what I guess I will hearken back to is post 9/11, that once we give up some of our liberties in the interests of some of these things that end up feeling like a crisis, we don't get them back. They don't come back without a concerted effort. And a lot of the liberty we gave up around 9/11, which we accepted under the context that it was a requirement, we're still being monitored just as they initiated then. And that's not going to stop unless someone stops it. I am a little concerned about extrajudiciary killing of people. It concerns me that, at least if this story actually plays out, they circled around and finished the job on survivors. That's concerning. And right now, it's all based on this sort of fear thing that, you know, these are drug dealers bringing poison into the United States. They're narco-terrorists. I don't know if that is an accurate narrative.
Maybe we should just stick to, if it isn't a law that has a consequence of capital punishment in the United States, perhaps we don't enforce it as a law with capital punishment anywhere.
Seems logical.
Well, what are you going to do? All right. So for my prescription, before greenlighting any film reboot moving forward, because, you know, we got to give them rush hour. It's already there. The government must reboot one public service that has otherwise been canceled. Or just fix something. So how about fix the DMV? Then we can film Chris Tucker screaming in Jackie Chan's face.
Seems reasonable.
I try to be.
Yeah.
And then another one. Any federal agency that attempts a revenge prosecution must spend 24 hours in a sensory deprivation tank labeled, "Think about what you did."
Here's my speculation. Like, if I play this out over the next 3 years, there's a lot of people that are probably going to be held to account for some of the choices they made. And that might be licenses to practice law, that might be criminal prosecutions, who knows? Right now, there's an umbrella that is protecting a certain number of folks. In fact, the ex-Honduran president apparently is being pardoned for the same crime in which we now are dropping missiles onto boats for. So go figure there. Don't follow it. But I do think that there will be hell to pay one day for a certain percentage of individuals.
That's a good prediction. I
Mhm.
predict, though, until that happens, there will be a desensitization that occurs, as I imagine is already happening, and an escalation. I'd say those are the two phases that I foresee. First would be people just getting used to what they hear and see, and then an escalation of that. Just as with anything else, the dopamine hits start to saturate the receptors in the brain as you get less and less upset about the things that you're seeing and you become more and more complacent. in watching it play out as things get worse and worse and, and lines are crossed. And eventually you turn around and you can't see the first line that was crossed. Now, in all fairness, I'd say we're way the hell past seeing any first line crossed.
I don't think we identified when the first line was crossed.
Yeah, it's been a while, but it's scary to me to think about what that escalation will look like if right now it's what we're seeing. Sounds like it'll unfortunately probably get worse before it gets better. Yay.
Yay.
And on that note, drink your bourbon. Yeah. If you can't laugh, you're curled up in a ball in the corner crying. All right, well, smash that subscribe. Thanks for sticking around. Sorry for the sobering episode. Unfortunately, just the news is the news. This is what's going on in our world. So we're going to talk about it, and maybe we'll have something.
Hopefully just funnier.
Well, no, they've already done like 9 Tron movies, so they've already rebooted the shit out of that. I don't know. They're going to do something.
New Avengers movie. It's good.
Yeah, I think that one's due a reboot.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
Thanks for sticking around. Smash that subscribe. Go to our website. Sign up for our weekly newsletter. And we will see you next week. Cue up that music. We are out.